Yeah, Chucky Ellsmore was an interesting kid. He had two sisters, one older, one younger. Youngest one I remember was Becky. I don't remember the older sister's name. But going into the Ellsmore home, the first thing you did was you walked into what I would say was like a early mudroom. But the walls, oh my gosh, the walls had so many guns, hunting rifles, shotguns, geez, every type of long rifle you could think of. And Mr. Ellsmore would load his own ammo there. He had every bit of equipment you could ever want. And then you go into the house, and up on the wall was this big old massive moose. They had the antlers, the snout, the whole 9 yards. And Mr. Ellsmore had his prize guns on the antlers, kind of reaching between the antlers. And you go in the house, and it was fairly standard. Had a dining room and all kinds of side rooms. Had a sun porch that was actually surrounded by part of a pine forest. So it was, more of a, I don't know, wouldn't say a sun porch. It was more of a breeze kind of place to chill in the hot summer. And then, of course, upstairs was Chuck's room and his sister's rooms and his mother and father's room and all blah, blah, blah. Well, anyway, across the street was a place that was even, I would say, even bigger than the ancestor home. Now it's kind of a bed and breakfast place, but there were summer residents. It was owned by the Craigs. The Craigs were from Dayton, Ohio, and Mr. Craig was an executive with Tennessee, Ohio Power or something like that, the Ohio Valley Power Company. Big deal. Such a big deal that he played golf and his wife played golf, and she would go to Northport to the golf course every couple of days. She'd grab her bag and golf clubs and go. And the Craigs had a maid, a servant. I don't know what you would classify her as. I think her name was Anne. She was the sweetest woman. She was black. And she was the first black person that I think I ever met in my entire freaking life. Of course, made in 1960. Where are you going to find another black person? But she had kind of a southern, maybe a Tennessee type of drawl. But she was nice. She was really sweet. And the Craigs had two children, John Jr. and Susie. I think Susie was adopted. At least that's what John would always say. And yeah, my sister Rhonda would play with Susie, and my brother Ray would play with John, or they'd do boy stuff. I don't know if you'd really call it play. But yeah, John was a bit of a dick. He would call Ian all kinds of names, including the N word. Every other word out of his mouth was, effing whatever. And she would tell him, don't talk to me that way. And he'd go on this tirade. It was always when Mrs. Craig wasn't around, John could get away with it. But yeah, and she was really nice. Well, anyway, the deal is that the Craigs had a small pool and they had a big yard and they had property all the way down to Penobscot Bay. And we would run down there every now and then. Mrs. Craig one time drove us down in their station wagon from Ohio plates. And we'd go swimming in that nice cold Penobscot Bay. Oh boy, wasn't that water wonderful? Huh? Cold, cold. Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, John was a bit of a jerk. And Susie, she didn't like me around either because I was just an annoying little boy. But Rhonda had been my best friend since the day I was born. Tell you more about Rhonda and I in another story.